Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leo New Moon. We are about 30 hours away from the Leo New Moon. It is the second new moon in July of 2019, and that means absolutely nothing. It might have a little bit of energy if it were the second new moon in the sign, which sometimes happens, but this is just a quirk of the calendar, which is man-made, and it's interesting, but it does not add anything in particular to the energy of this moon unless you consider the collective attention that the world tends to pour into things that attract the attention of social media and headlines. And this moon is doing a little of that. However, there is plenty going on at this new moon that is significant and powerful. And I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes sharing with you what I see in the chart. So as we wait for people to find us, I will just say that it is high summer in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's hot in Maine, hot and humid, and we are waiting for a cold front and thunderstorms to come and relieve some of this. So I'm feeling a little bit of what I used to feel in the old days as a Southern lady growing up down in Tennessee in the Southern United States, where summers were always hot and humid. And even in New York City, where I lived for almost 20 years, summers were hot and humid. We're not used to that in Maine. So here, even though it's probably comfortable if you're a Southerner, it's still hot and humid, and I am feeling enervated. So I'm just sitting back in my chair in my sunroom, laid back, and going to share with you some of what's going on in the sky right now. The moon and the sun tomorrow evening at 11:12. Someone told me today, I was listening to Eric Francis with his new moon reading, and he says it's something like 11:11:57. So, I wanted this to be at 11:11. That would be significant. But it isn't. Where I live, it's the exact moment of the new moon is 11:12 p.m. tomorrow night. Now, something really interesting is that less than an hour later, before midnight, Mercury goes direct. So this new moon, the time between this new moon and 2 weeks from now at the full moon, some of our retrograde planets are going to turn direct, which is going to be a big energy shift. And these planets happen to be Mercury, which is, within minutes of the new moon, and Jupiter over the next several days will turn direct. We'll talk a little bit more about what Jupiter's up to. So this new moon is, in a way, it's a poise. The last moons were eclipses, full moon, new moon, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, intense conjunctions and oppositions. And, the full moon was conjunct with Pluto, and the sun was opposite Pluto. That full moon we all felt. Now this new moon is moving into a place that is really poised for the next full moon. The next full moon is going to bring a whole lot of energy. And this one, it's got a whole lot of energy, but it's different energy. I'll tell you what is involved. All of the Liliths are involved. Particularly, let me back up a minute. When I'm looking at the moons, full and new, I look at the aspects they're making, and that's important. But I also look at what else is going on in the chart at the same time, because the new moon is activating and giving a push of energy to everything else that's going on. And what we have going on are a lot of masculine and feminine conjunctions, a lot of them. So we're going to talk about those mostly. The moon and the sun can be considered a masculine and feminine conjunction. And Venus is conjunct this new moon. Venus is 3 solid degrees ahead, but she's applying. So Venus in the next few days is going to be at her exact exterior conjunction with the sun. So that energy is building. Venus merging with sun energy, and for the next 3 days, also merging with moon energy. So Venus is activating everything. Venus is the beautiful goddess. She is the bright and shining one. She is the divine feminine that we see. She is our intimate. She, along with mother, a grandmother. Moon is our grandmother. Venus is our bright and shining big sister. She shows us how to be beautiful. She shows us how to live with grace and abundance. She shows us how to manifest. She shows us how to work with the love, both erotic love and just the full, abundant love of an open heart. So Venus is hidden from us in sight. She is gathering the energy of the sun and the moon right now, preparing slowly to make her shift from morning star to evening star. When we see her again, in the northern hemisphere, we'll be seeing her, I guess everywhere, we'll be seeing her after sunset. So that's happening. That is right there in Leo with the new moon. Venus is in another aspect with one of the gods, one of the masculine avatars of astrology, and that is Chiron. She is trine Chiron, but Chiron is at 5:43 Aries. Venus is at, as I'm looking at it tomorrow night, she is at 5:00, exactly at 5 Leo. So Venus and Chiron are trine in fire signs. Chiron is lending weight, lending gravitas. Chiron is the healer, the mentor, the teacher. So he is lending that. Pay attention to what's going on right now. Really be alert. Put aside your childish things and grow the fuck up. I don't know if Chiron says fuck, but he's saying take this very seriously. This is an opportunity you do not want to miss to really illuminate the meaning of Venus in your life. And it would be really always, when we're looking at these things, it's important, it's helpful to know where it lies in your chart. What transits these current situations are making to your natal chart. What houses are they happening in? So if you have access to that information, or you'd like to contact me for a reading, I would be happy to talk to you about Desire and Destiny. It's basically a 30-day astrology reading. I don't do just one-off readings anymore because so much happens in these readings that you need more time to process. So what that says really is that Chiron is also trine the new moon. Chiron is saying this is an opportunity to heal, and there are many opportunities to heal in this chart at this new moon season. This is a time for you to pause and go deep. I like to be solo and quiet at new moons. I've actually got a social / business event tomorrow night, which I wish weren't happening. However, because it happens to be at a biodynamic garden, I think I can handle it. I would say find some time. This is all happening in a fire sign. Light a fire or use water, the opposite of fire. If you, and those of you who are in the north in the summer, if you could do a new moon darkness swim, ooh, it would be a night to go check out phosphorescence. Maybe that's what I'll do on my way home. It's going to be an adventuresome new moon with Chiron, Venus, and the moon and sun at 8 degrees Leo. So what else is happening? That is the most significant, direct aspect. However, simultaneous to that, we have a very busy chart. I said lots of conjunctions. So let us start with the nearest one. In Leo, Mars and Juno are in exact conjunction at 19 Leo. Mars and Juno, Mars, the ultimate example of an avatar of the masculine. He stands for the epitome of masculine energy, aggressive, assertive, warlike, direct, fiery. Mars is everything that the masculine energy is about. And he is conjunct Juno, who is the goddess of the sacred marriage. She is the queen of the gods, the wife of Jupiter, a long-suffering wife for much of her career. However, she is incredibly powerful. She stands for social justice, the welfare of women and children, for money and wealth. As Jupiter's wife, it makes sense that she would be in charge of the substance of wealth, the thing that you can count, the material of wealth. And they are working together. Mars and Juno are merging their energies. So imagine, what would that be like in your life? Which aspect of it is most called for? Is it about putting some masculine energy around making money, managing money, doing money healing? Is it around relationship and marriage? Is it around social justice? And see, this is important because I'm about to talk about the Liliths in a minute. I always look at what the 3 Liliths are doing. And this is connecting very much to our times. The United States still has untold numbers of children locked up at the borders, separated from their parents, who are coming to the United States in an attempt to save their lives, to find a better life. They are not coming here in an attempt to do anyone any harm. And they are being harmed at our borders. So Mars and Juno, I like to say these energies are here for us to use. However, this could also be a sign that the energies of war are being used against women and children right now. Both are true. Both are true. We can turn the energies of Mars to social justice and doing good and being the change we need to see. And we also recognize that the opposite of that is true. The energies of Mars are being used against us. So we take that as awareness and saying, what are we going to do about this? Well, there's a couple of interesting things. A lot of times I don't really know what, even though I study this for several days before I talk about it, sometimes, I'm always channeling when I do this. So what I'm suddenly seeing right now, Mars and Juno are square Vesta in Taurus, and they are sextile the Lilith asteroid. What does that mean? Vesta is the goddess of devotion. She is the divine feminine energy of our wombs, dedicated to devotion of our spiritual life. And this spiritual energy is grounded in our erotic energy. It is merged. It is the true holiness of what it means to be feminine, what it means to be human. Our sexual energy is sacred energy, and it is the grounding of divine energy in our bodies and upon the earth. And that happens through the energy of Vesta. So Vesta is here. She is square, this Mars and Juno energy. So I think what this is calling us to do is to remind us that we have a duty. We have a sacred duty to keep working for justice, to use our masculine energy, to use the union of feminine and masculine energy represented by Juno and Juno conjunct Mars, to change what is not working, to change what a travesty this is. It's not even travesty. I've been in my car today, which means I've been listening to the news, and there have been hour-long programs talking about immigration policies of the United States. And when I hear about the more and more draconian, punishing immigration policies that are being enacted and declared, not necessarily legally, not, totally against written immigration law, I see a move to really harm people and to set up I'm going to say it, genocidal situation. It is like the outer edges of genocide, but it is so destructive and harmful. And so this is happening right now at this new moon, and it is just getting worse and worse. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. That is a confirmation. I am devastated and infuriated by what is happening. And in some ways, up here in Maine, it's like I don't know what to do. I do have friends around the country who are organizing protests and who are doing marches and sit-ins and demonstrations at immigration offices throughout the country. Everything is not happening on the southern border. But what is going on here is saying, one of the things this chart is saying is take action. And continue to speak up. Even if your action is to speak up, even if your action is to know, is to allow yourself to feel outraged and to not let it stop at disappointment. Always you can contact your representatives, and you can work with other people, develop groups and take actions and reinforce one another about what needs to be happening, what needs to be changing. I'm breathing some sort of dust that's in the air from outside on this hot and humid day, and I don't have water with me. So excuse my voice. It's going to be cracking a bit. Maybe I need to calm down. Maybe I need to get centered, lower my voice. So, Vesta is square, and squares require action to release their energy. Vesta is saying your spiritual life ought to include a social justice and activism component in whatever way you are called, in whatever country you live in. Because what we are seeing, I'm talking about what's happening in my country because that's what I'm familiar with. It's not only happening here. It's happening in rainforests in South America. It's happening in Australia and New Zealand. It's happening in India and all over Africa. It's happening all over Europe, China. It's happening all over our globe. And wherever we are, those of us who are relatively safe have a privilege and a responsibility to take action and speak up about what's going on. Now, there are two other aspects. This square, Vesta, to Mars and Juno. Vesta is sextile Neptune, and Mars and Juno are sextile asteroid Lilith. Let me talk about what those mean. I'll start with Vesta. Vesta is sextile. That means she is in easy flow. She is working in collaboration with the energy of Neptune. Neptune is dreams, visions, and also delusion and illusion. Neptune can give rise to despair because Neptune can conceal the truth. It can make it hard to see the truth. It can set up a place of obfuscation and deceit. People doing dastardly things can hide behind Neptune. They can pull the wool over our eyes. So Vesta is incredibly clear-headed, and so is Mars and Juno for that matter. And those are in aspect to Neptune, and so they are going to use the powerful, creative, visionary energy of Neptune and see through the fog and the delusion that is in potential. This is about saying the emperor has no clothes. We have to speak louder and more clearly than the people who are saying we actually have leadership in our governments that is capable and knows what they're doing. And I say this, I'm not speaking just of the U.S. because I know, like I said before, it's happening in countries around the world. So Vesta is grabbing that visionary energy and bringing it into her meditation and listening and saying, what is the action that we need to take to unleash the Mars-Juno energy at the time of this new moon? Now, Mars and Juno have a sextile to Lilith asteroid. Lilith asteroid is the internalized, disowned feminine. And I'm going to talk for a while about the Liliths. There are 3 of them that I look for in every chart. Asteroid Lilith is the personal disowned feminine. I see her as one of the planets that carries the feminine wound. This wound that says, I am fallen. I am a failure because I am a woman. I am flawed and damaged because I am not as good as a man. I am not as important as a man. I exist to serve men. And this is what patriarchy generally wants women to believe about themselves, ourselves. So Lilith is the one who speaks to us of that wound and always, always, always tells us how to heal it. Well, right now, she is working with the energy of Mars and Juno. So that is profound healing energy, or energy that she can use to take action. So the part of us that says, okay, I'm suddenly hearing it. The part of us that says, what can I do? I'm one woman. Or what can I do? It's overwhelming. Or what can I do? I'm overworked with my life. This comes up with a thought that I've talked about in Wise Women Lead, my Facebook group for Divine Feminine Leaders. A lot of us are saying, I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I'm worn out. I am burnt out. The patriarchy has chewed me up and spit me out. I need to heal and rest before I can lead. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And the times may not allow that. You may need to choose. I think what this says to us is that we have to get over that sense of, if I do enough, maybe they'll love me. If I do enough, maybe I'll be good enough. And save our energy, nurture our energy, own that we deserve comfort and ease and rest and regard and respect, and we need to be heard, and our ideas are important and they totally matter, and that we do need to take our place as leaders in the world. And not add that to a long list. You see, what happens when the divine feminine takes on leadership, it's not in the context of the patriarchy. It is in the context of what it was like before patriarchy. What is our natural state as leaders, as divine feminine leaders, advisors, mentors, power sharers? That's how we do it. And in the changeover, it's going to be chaotic, and we're going to somehow be holding both packages and trying to do. We don't know how to drop one and pick up the other. And we're going to have to learn, and we're going to have to help each other, and we're going to have to make mistakes, and we're probably going to need training. I raise my hand. I will train you. Thank you, Cosmic Crone. I didn't know that was in this chart. But that's the answer. That's why it feels so chaotic. That's why it feels so impossible. Because we are carrying the burden of the patriarchy on our backs and in our wombs. And at the same time saying, I must show up and help change the world. Somehow, we're going to have to drop the burdens we're carrying on behalf of the patriarchy. And I guess I'll be talking about that even more because it's required. It's the only way. It just so happens that Lilith asteroid, is in a quincunx called it's a quincunx, means it's off of an opposition. And it's considered a challenging position, but really it is what it does. Oh, she's one of the, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm gonna, because I think we need the energy. There's actually a yod here in this chart. That sextile to Mars and Juno is also in a quincunx to Neptune. So Neptune is the apex of the eye of God, also called a yod. And that is sending the energy to Neptune. And it is giving Neptune the quality of the masculine energy working with the feminine for the social justice, and the energy of Lilith with women figuring out how to reclaim their power from this old image of the inner disowned feminine. And I believe what that is saying is the first step is visioning, and we will know what to do and how to do it through the act of visioning, not exclusively on our own, not solo, but together. This is the work we need to do. And after the vision comes action. And Mars is there today to say you'll be able to do that. It's not the action of one moon day, one new moon, one moon cycle. It is the action of the rest of our lives, of many years. But it starts with the vision. Oh, I'm going to take a breath there. Oh, there are so many things going on. I'm going to go to Black Moon Lilith, because Black Moon Lilith is, I consider her the goddess before patriarchy. Black Moon Lilith takes the energy of Lilith before patriarchy. The Black Moon Lilith, Lilith, Adam's first wife, the first feminine denizen of the Garden of Eden in the old mythologies, and she's even older than that, Inanna's handmaiden in Sumerian mythology. But she is the one who said, I will not surrender to man, I will not submit, nor will I submit to God. I am divine. I will own my power. And so as I've studied her and read different astrologers who talk a lot about the energy of Black Moon Lilith, I've come to see her as the feminine before it was wounded by patriarchy. So she is the great vortex and void of creation who comes in and creates the world. She is the creatrix feminine. And she, right now, she has just, probably today, in the last couple of days, she has passed over the United States natal nessus. That was a mouthful. In the Sibley chart, which is generally accepted to be the birth chart of the United States, Nessus is at 9 degrees Pisces, 900. Nessus right now is at 957. So she has been passing over that point. Nessus is in Pisces right now. Nessus, for the past several years, has been going back and forth over that 9-degree point in the United States chart. And it is retrograding. It will go exactly over it one more time this year. Right now, Black Moon Lilith and Nessus are less than a degree apart in Pisces, conjunct transiting that Nessus return. This is the second Nessus return in the United States chart. Nessus stands for the healing of the lineage. And it stands for abuse, trauma, and usually related to inappropriate touch. So we can say sex abuse, neglect, poor parenting, the trauma passed through generations, whether it's through abuse or mental illness or suicide or displacement, war. Nessus tells us where that is active in our lives and where our strength is to heal it. So the United States strength is in Pisces. And this Nessus return has coincided with the Me Too movement, this most recent version of it, and sided with the fact that sex abusers and sex harassers are welcome in the White House and on the Supreme Court and in the Senate. And as you know, it depends on how bad their efforts were. This is a time, this is part of healing the disowned feminine is that we have to stop being silent about how men have been trained to treat us under patriarchy. How our bodies have been considered for their pleasure, whatever our age. Our reproduction is considered for their benefit and to belong to them. And our brains are considered too infantile to make decisions about our own lives, whether it's career, health, whether or not to have sex or bear children. All of that belongs to the masculine under patriarchy. And so right here at this moment, you have the goddess Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, the feminine energy representing. She's the one we cling to because she's the one of the two that can teach us what it was like to be feminine before patriarchy. When we tune in to where Black Moon Lilith is in our personal chart, where the transits are and what's going on with her, we learn something. And one of the things we're learning is, yes, speak up even more, show even less tolerance for genuine, actual misdeeds, abuse of the feminine, whether that's abuse of the earth, abuse of children, abuse of women, their bodies, their minds, their reproductive capacity, all of these things. And the way that we heal it is women and men work together and say, let us explore what was it like when, before patriarchy, when women were divine, when women were goddesses, when God was a woman and women were paid attention to. We were priestesses, rulers, advisors, the accountants, the courts. So this is a moment right now at this new moon and through the rest of this moon cycle into the new moon, Nessus and Black Moon Lilith are working together. And this is really important. Take this energy. Go into your new moon meditation and say, where do I personally need to heal? And what is my resource? What sort of help do I need to seek? What sort of support? What support do I need to be giving? Where do I need to be in circle with other women about this? This aspect is also in a quincunx to the new moon itself. It is sending a challenging aspect saying, this hurts. We feel this. And it's an emotional aspect. And the only way to work with it is to honor the emotion of it. To get angry and then say, and now what do I do? What can I do? What will I do? And make some decisions. What's coming up at the full moon in 2 weeks? And it's going to be building. So listen to this. We've already talked about Vesta. She is edging towards, day by day, edging towards a conjunction with Algol. Algol is our other great teacher. She is the Lilith star. She represents the demonized goddess who is a being of terror, but only because we have made her that way. She's like, you could say she's the shadow version of Black Moon Lilith, but that's not really accurate. She is the goddess who has been cast into the shadows. And she resides around 26. Right now she's at 2626. I'm going to do some studying and see what that number stands for. I'm sitting here looking at it saying 26 is an 8, and 8 is infinity. So at this particular time, she is located at 2626. Taurus, she's a star, so she doesn't move. She's a fixed star, and she moves very, very slowly, like, a degree every 100 years or so. So Algol is sitting and waiting for Vesta to meet up with her. So the goddess of devotion and sacred erotic energy and sacred sexual spirituality is moving into a union with the demonized goddess, which means that is the time now, over this next 2 weeks, this moon cycle, I recommend daily do ceremony, do ritual, connecting with the rage of the goddess. Stand before her. And we are raised in the midst of patriarchy, so we have learned to fear her in the unconscious level. She is the aspect of us that terrifies us. And becoming friends with her and familiar with her and bringing her forward all together, that is how we will begin to heal this. That is how we are going to reclaim the earth from the ravages of patriarchy, especially now at this particular time when patriarchy is fiercely lashing back. I can't say enough, and I probably need to do a master class on these Liliths coming up to the new moon. So yeah, I will do that. I think we need to really go deeper and perhaps even do some ceremony together online and inspire you and support you in doing your own ceremony. So what else is happening at this time of the new moon? Chariklo and Pluto. Chariklo is Chiron's wife, so she carries feminine healing energy. She is his consort. He couldn't have been the healer and mentor he was, even in mythology, without her. And she is in an exact conjunction with Pluto again. And this has been a dance they've been doing for months, the entire of 2019. And it's coming to a close. As they go direct, Chariklo will move further and past. But this dance is going to be on for a little bit longer. So they are together. They are opposite still Mercury going direct. And so this is a time of transformation. And so we have to remember that. I don't like to get too sentimental and mushy about how the presence of the current administration is a time of transformation and teaching and healing and waking up. It is all that, but fuck it. He's an asshole. And I'm choosing not to be grateful that he is here fulfilling this function. I can hold two ideas in my mind at the same time and not feel conflict. I am not grateful that that individual is in the White House. I am grateful that so many people are working for the good of the earth, for the healing, for the children, for the divine feminine. That I am absolutely confident that we will, I don't want to even use the word win, because it's not about winning, that we will prevail, that we will grow in strength, that we will reclaim. So that's what's going on there. Pluto and Chariklo. This is a time of transformation. Every time is. This one's a big one. And the last thing I'm going to mention before closing is Jupiter and the Great Attractor. Now, this is the biggest planet. Jupiter is not the biggest thing in the solar system. The sun is. But Jupiter is big enough to be a little sun if it weren't a planet. Jupiter's huge. And Jupiter is the king of the gods, and he stands for expansion, and he stands for abundance and wealth and is generally seen as a positive influence. And right now, he is in his home territory of Sagittarius, where he rules, and he is retrograde and backing up into a conjunction with the great attractor, which is the biggest thing on this chart, the biggest thing we know of in our universe. She, because it has a distinctly vast feminine energy, she is outside of our solar system and so big that she is pulling all of the galaxies in our neighborhood towards her. And the two of them have been working together for this entire year because Jupiter has crossed over her, and then towards the, pretty much in conjunction with the galactic center, Jupiter went retrograde and is now going to bounce off of the great attractor. So in the next few days, I didn't look up exactly which day, but between now and the full moon, Jupiter is going to go direct at 14 degrees. The great attractor is at 1414 Sagittarius. So we have Algol at 2626 Sagittarius. Taurus. So when I see these repeating numbers, I say, let me look those up. Those contribute to the meaning. So that's what's happening. Jupiter is going and merging with the great attractor, and then is going to move right on through, pick up speed through Sagittarius and move into Capricorn, where Jupiter will contribute to the activities of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn in 2020, just in time for a presidential election. So what we want to tune into and contribute our energy to is Jupiter gathering this deep feminine wisdom, this great mystery from the great attractor, and carry that into Capricorn, which is right now host to Saturn and Pluto, heading towards the Saturn-Pluto conjunction at the end of this year, and then the Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto conjunction, which will not be exact, but will be close in 2020. So let Jupiter bring some of this deep feminine energy and wisdom and awareness into Capricorn, the sign of institutions and government. And maybe that's when Pluto can get busy with some real transformation. Hi, Joy, Jen, Janelle, and Teresa. Thank you for coming. It's great to see you. If you have any thoughts or comments, put them in. I will come back later and check the comments. And now we are complete. Enjoy your full moon. Go deep and receive. Receive that vision that I talked about earlier from Neptune. And be blessed.